What's your name? What do you do for a living? And where did you go on this trip?
My name is Tessa McGregor and I went to the Sundarbans mangrove forest in Bangladesh.
I'm Damien Welch. I work for a business performance consultancy in London.
My name's Emily Ainsworth.
Dave Waldman.
Luke Freeman. I'm a lecturer in anthropology at University College London.
My name is Andy Home. I'm a financial journalist specialising in the industrial metal markets.
And my journey, well, I went to Tokelau, 3 atolls in the South Pacific.
I went to Mexico to work in a circus.
My trip was to the Rift Valley in western Kenya, and I went to live with the Kalenjin.
I drove a herd of cattle from west to east across Madagascar.
And I went to Norilsk in Russia, Siberia.
And how did you come up with the idea?
I came up with this project idea because it's a passion. It's somewhere I had already worked in as a biologist.
I came up with the idea when I was working in Mexico earlier in the year, and a circus passed through the city that I was working in, and there was a bit of a parade, and all of the local children came running out to school. And
I realised as I was probably getting on the plane that this was a journey I'd always wanted to do, which was to see people who run as a job.
It was very little known and I was desperate. It was a much wider story that needed to be told, and I longed for the opportunity to be able to tell that story.
The person who told me about it called me up and said, have you heard about this thing that you can go anywhere you want and they'll give you money to do it? And I went, no. He said, well, why don't you go to that place you've always been banging on about for the last 3 years and boring your friends with?
The nature of running, which is to exhaust yourself and push yourself, and intrinsically I found that when I decided I could stop, because I didn't need to try it, actually these guys for them it meant no bread on the table, no food for their family, and I thought that was an amazing concept I wanted to explore.
I used to live in Madagascar in a little village high up in the hills, and as I was working in the rice fields I used to see these herds of cattle being driven through by these long distance drovers, and I just always really fancied the idea of one day doing it myself.
everyone was really excited by it, and it just seemed to me to be this really interesting and glamorous side of life in Mexico.
And what was the best thing that happened?
Best thing, I think, was finding new evidence of new tiger behaviour, and getting an insight into the lives of local people living with them.
It's exciting from beginning to end for different reasons. Driving the cattle through rivers with crocodiles in them, up to your neck almost in water, trying to record at the same time, holding a microphone over your head. Driving them through a big city, there amongst the market stalls and the traffic, crazy things like that.
I should explain that Norilsk is once again a closed Russian city. So the best thing that happened to me was touching down in the airport and getting cleared by the local police.
I found myself out of my depth and out of my comfort zone, and I was living with strangers in a completely foreign environment. Being
Invited to genuinely be a part of that group and to share in the bounty of the sea that's divided up amongst the families was quite an emotional experience, actually.
And what was the hardest part about the whole thing?
Again, worrying beforehand.
The hardest part was the poverty that I witnessed.
The hardest part about the trip was how physically difficult it was. It was many, many miles a day, sometimes going quite fast, without stopping all day, getting up in the morning, walking till midday without breakfast, at night sleeping under a plastic sheet which didn't keep the water out anyway, going through the rainforest where your clothes and all your possessions were soaked from morning till night.
Little bit by little bit, the company that runs the town took control of our trip. And we ended up being continuously minded wherever we went.
Thinking about how you would actually come back with a story to tell was definitely a challenge for me. I was very much new to that.
I was never clear who it was who was accompanying us. And I started to get really quite paranoid, including wondering whether I had microphones in my room.
Physically it was hard, but emotionally it wasn't hard because we had such good company. The band of drovers were such a lively bunch of young men for whom life was a laugh, and so that alleviated all the difficulties.
Now, this is called the Journey of a Lifetime Award. In what way was it your journey of a lifetime?
It was my journey of a lifetime because it gave me the chance to actually explore all sorts of parts of the Sundarbans I would have been able to explore otherwise. It was my chance really to do something that was as much cultural and anthropological as wildlife. And it was a chance to discover how much I passionately love making radio.
The actual physicality of getting to a place I wasn't supposed to go, and you're not supposed to go, and no one is really supposed to go, whether Russians or outsiders, that became an overriding ambition for me, because I really didn't think we were going to get there, even after we arrived in Russia.
I've followed the journey of a lifetime for years and years, and I've always been so impressed by what people have done before me and so inspired by what people have done before me.
It was the opportunity to do something that I couldn't have made happen on my own.
The way that it was special was because it's the first journey I'd ever done with radio equipment and recording for radio, and that just gave it a completely different dimension for me. It made it harder. It meant, in a sense, I missed out on quite a lot because I was concentrating so hard on what needed recording, capturing as much material as I could. But on the other hand, I just experienced the world orally through my ears in a way that I never had before.
Why should other people apply for this award?
Why would you not apply for this award?
Everyone should take some time out in their lives and think, where would they most like to go while they have the opportunity?
A journey which takes yourself out of your comfort zones and into an unknown land is the finest way of exploring yourself.
I think it's such an amazing opportunity to stretch yourself and to formulate an idea in the first place, and to think creatively about travel, and to think creatively about the experiences that you make for yourself.
Well, other people shouldn't apply for this award unless they have a passion for travelling, a passion for people, a passion for places, and most of all a passion for radio and how radio can convey the world to a wider audience.
And the chance to be trained to actually make a radio programme and to start seeing the world not just in images but in sounds.
And last of all, has the award changed your life?
I think practically what resulted from it, completely unplanned from my point of view, is that I became a published author.
It's given me the chance to do something that's really meaningful for me, and it's opened my head up to a few things as well, so some very different ways of thinking about life and living life.
It was a 3 weeks that felt like 3 years, really.
Fitting in so well somewhere so different was really, really inspiring, and a lovely kind of affirmation of lots of different routes that your life can take, which I think is a really nice, liberating feeling.
And any tips for people applying?
When you first think of your journey of a lifetime, think hard about it. I would say reject the first 3 ideas, because if you want to make it really a journey of a lifetime, you need to sort of delve a little bit into yourself and understand really what it is, what would make your journey of a lifetime.
Be absolutely passionate about what you're going to do, and think of how the rest of us want to hear and learn about this.
Be really clear about why other people would be interested in your journey.
Go out, buy a blindfold and walk around for a week with it on and experience the world through your ears. This is a radio programme you're making. Put that before any other idea of adventure.